Some congressional leaders are expressing cautious optimism about a possible deal to end Russia's war with Ukraine following President Trump's recent meetings with Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelenskyy. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion. Nikole, thanks for being with us here. Top Republican lawmakers, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, as well as Senate Majority Leader John Thune, they're on board with the president's plans. But how are other members of Congress in both parties responding?
Yeah, well, I would point out there is a bit of daylight among some Republicans in terms of the president's response. Obviously, most Republicans in Congress remain largely supportive of the president's efforts, although some are taking more of a wait-and-see approach, including those like Leader Thune. We've seen Speaker Mike Johnson, of course, refer to President Trump as the peace president. In fact, earlier today, there were a pair of House Republicans who have now nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. So that just goes to show kind of the range there, in terms of Leader Thune. He's been more measured in terms of praising the president's what he calls dogged determination, but at the same time saying that the Senate is poised to act with respect to potentially a stiff sanctions package if, these negotiations slide back. Democrats, for their part, too, are also kind of cautiously optimistic but wary, saying that President Putin shouldn't get this red carpet treatment, that the president really needs to keep the pressure on Putin to try to ultimately reach an agreement, not only between Putin, but also Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, to hopefully try to wind this war down.
And Nikole, prior to the annual August recess, there was a push in Congress to place sanctions on Russia. Of course, that was before this recent meeting between Trump and Putin. Given that all that has transpired since then, where does that stand now?
Well, as I mentioned, that's kind of where we're seeing some of that daylight, particularly with congressional Republicans. Leader Thune did do an interview just this week where he kind of referenced that in his X post as well. But, basically, again, praising the president's efforts here in terms of bringing these two leaders potentially to the table, but at the same time saying that the Senate is poised to act on that sanctions package, noting that it could potentially pass with unanimous consent in the sense that you have both Democrats and Republicans in support of this bipartisan deal. Also, you have those like Lindsey Graham, who tend to be more on the hawkish side, who have also said, yes, we're encouraged by what the president's doing, but at the same time, if we need to, put these sanctions on to drive the point home to Putin that, the U.S. isn't playing around, that's kind of Graham's approach. Like, we really need to make him believe and understand that the U.S. means business when they want Putin to back off of some of the aggressive actions that have been taken throughout the course of this war.
Nikole, great to have you with us. Thanks for being with us.
You bet.